This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is the Fast Break Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, as always, is Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
And Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
And today we have a podcast full of Patreons. We have Eric joining us on the line right now. He's going to be talking Boston Celtics with us. Then we have John coming on later to talk about the college prospects and comparisons for them. And then we have our boy Z coming on to talk about his Phoenix Suns and should the Phoenix Suns take Ja Morant over Zion Williamson if they get the number one overall pick. And we'll also have Wet Boys in there as well. But before we jump into all of that, before we welcome in Eric for his first ever Patreon segment, we do want you to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. We have 3 new tiers. We have the bronze tier where you get a ton of content just for $1 a month. You have the silver tier for the $5 a month thing where you get all the content, and then you can suggest a topic as well. Or you can join the gold membership where you get the silver and bronze stuff, and you get the ability to call in like Eric, like John, and like Z. And now let's move to Eric. And Eric, welcome on. We're glad to finally have you. There's been some problems getting you on with family stuff for you, but we're glad we can finally talk to you about the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to be here and kind of shoot the shit.
Yeah, for sure. That's a big thing we like to do here is shoot the shit. And we get yelled at it for sometimes, but
it's sort of our jam.
In the end, it's fun, and it's all that matters. And one thing that the Celtics were kind of doing was shooting the shit early on in the season. This was a team that was expected to have 60 wins, end up the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference, but so far they've gotten off to a great start. In the first round, they have 3 wins over the Indiana Pacers, 84-74, 99-91, and then 104-96. They play tomorrow at noon to try to close that out in Indiana. So far, as a Boston fan, how has this playoff been? At least, how has this Boston season, the Celtics Celtics season, been for you so far?
Well, I mean, it's been a roller coaster, right? I even think Bill Simmons bet the over, right? It was like 64 wins or something like that.
Yeah, I think he said 67.
Yeah, I was 67. Looking that up, actually, yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't going to happen. I I grew up in Boston, like, with like, the Larry Bird area, so seeing this kind of hype was good, but they're not a team. I mean, anything with Kyrie is all about him. Mm-hmm. I think we have a decent shot just because of the overall talent, but, if he's your number one, I do have long-term concerns. So.
Yeah, the one thing I want to ask for you, I mean, so far these playoffs have been going well for the Celtics so far, and this has been a crazy, at least Boston year. You obviously have the Patriots winning back in February, and then before that you have the Red Sox winning in October. So what has this been like? Just being, and even the Bruins too in the first round, they're kind of dealing with a little bit with the Maple Leafs right now being down 3-2. But what has it been like, at least being a fan of these teams? If you are a fan of all 4 teams, I know you're a Patriot fan. What's it been like? Going through all the success. Has it been difficult?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. It's like every 3 months we win a championship around here. It seems like on one of the 4 major sports. But growing up, remember, like, for me, I mean, in the 80s and 90s, like, all the 4 Boston teams were awful. You know what I mean? The Red Sox, the Celtics had a run in the 80s, but, I mean, the Patriots, the Bruins, none of them really won championships except the Celtics. So now it's sort of overkill, or sort of you become used to it, and I think once Brady leaves and once Belichick leaves and once the Celtics don't have a plethora of New Jersey draft pick capital and kind of the good fortune of all these teams, it's going to be sort of a huge letdown. Like if you drink like a bunch of Red Bulls, it'll be kind of bad,
Yeah, you keep riding that wave, and it's been a long way for you guys. So I mean, it's good to see. But at least with the Celtics, this is a team obviously that this things might change big in the offseason with Kyrie, and let's jump into at least the talk so far. It's really about, can we trust the Boston Celtics? And you talked about it being a roller coaster. Has this been kind of one of the more like even lengths of the season for you right now? Has this been a way that you can kind of get into the Celtics and kind of trust that they can go into every single game and win?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all about I'm a big proponent on the eye test, right? And if you're watching them and they're actually, making 2 and 3 passes when they bring it down the court, and it's not just one-on-one with Kyrie and or some ISO with Tatum, then we're gonna crush them. I mean, look at Game 3. I mean, Jaylen Brown was going off, and he's not even, he's our 4th or 5th option out there.
Yeah, that man couldn't miss.
So.
Yeah, and it's something that is definitely intriguing with the Celtics, because I mean, even last year, the past 2 years, you guys have gone to the Eastern Conference Finals and been so close. So I mean, Dave, looking at this so far, I mean, do you think that you can trust the Celtics, being not a Boston fan, being an outsider? Is this one of the better lengths you've seen of the Celtics so far this season?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think the late year improvements from Gordon Hayward, I mean, we knew he wasn't healthy day one of the season, but as the season went on, we saw a little bit more consistency, and especially at the All-Star break, that post period, he really started to hit his stride. So seeing him have his confidence back and go into the hole was fantastic, and just being able to use that depth to their advantage on the wing with Jalen, Jason, Gordon Hayward, and Marcus Morris, like those 4 guys, that's the great thing about them is you have 4 guys who can give it to you any given night. So as long as you have consistent play out of Al Horford, which he has been everything, for them consistently, and Kyrie Irving, like they have an answer for almost everything. I feel like it's just next man up, in that mentality.
For me, the thing I wonder is this first series, and of course, like Kyrie's been good, and the Celtics overall have been good. Obviously, they're up 3-0. But I wonder, is this more of the Celtics playing very good, or the Pacers just not being the team that they should be? Like the Vic injury they'd be a vastly different team if Oladipo was out there. So I wonder if it's like the Celtics are just beating down a wounded Pacer team that is not matched for the Celtics. And that's why, for me, I'm looking forward to the next round, Celtics-Bucks. And for me, I feel like the Celtics, that is going to be their toughest series. If they win that series, they're going to be in the finals. If not, obviously, they'll lose in that one. But it's like one of those 2 teams, the Bucks or the Celtics.
That's where you got your money?
Winner of that series is going to the finals out of the East. Because I think, looking at the Celtics, the Raptors, kind of questionable, but like if they go up against Philly in the Eastern Conference Finals, there's no doubt in my mind the Celtics team can beat Philly. Sorry, Jake.
I agree with that. If whoever wins that Celtics-Bucks, I agree with you, Ricky, on that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for the Celtics is just finding that consistency. And if they do find it, I mean, we talked about this early on in the season. I mean, they have all the talent. They have all the depth. And I think the biggest thing that I've just loved so far is just Jason Tatum's kind of play in the playoffs so far. And he has risen. He was a guy that wasn't super consistent throughout the season this year, but he has taken that step to become even better. And so far in the playoffs, this year he was going 15.7 points per game, 6 boards a night, 2.1 assists on 45, 37, and then 85 shooting. And then so far this year through the 3 games, and it has been 3 games, 19.7 points, 4.7 boards, 1.3 assists, but then 53% from the field, 58% from 3, and then a measly 40% from the free throw line. But he's taken 5, so that's a little bit less to worry about. But defensively, he's also been fantastic. So you're seeing step up in players, which is something that I think it's kind of bullshit when you see guys like kind of turn it on for the playoffs. But you'd rather have them turn on for the playoffs than like a game 62 against the Suns.
You have that next gear in your game.
Mm-hmm. And Tatum so far has shown that. I mean, last year he averaged 18 and a half in the playoffs last year for the Celtics, and now so far he's taken that up even a notch further. So having the Celtics have that, having a leader in Kyrie, at least on the floor, I don't know if he's a leader off the floor, but at least on the floor being a leader out there is huge. And then Gordon Hayward, Al Horford, a guy who's very a veteran-heavy guy there, and then just great depth with Terry Rozier, Jaylen Brown, and then even when they get Marcus Smart back too, that's going to be huge as well. So I feel like with Brad Stevens being the coach, he puts them in the right spot, and the talent just needs to win out. And this is a team that they're going up against in Indiana that isn't that talented. They're just very well coached, and they're very good guys, very good players. There's no star on that team because Victor Oladipo's hurt. So I think this was a perfect first-round matchup for them because they do have the talent. They're being put in the right spots to win, and now they're kind of gaining that confidence to go up against a tough team like Milwaukee in the next round.
Well, and that's the question I want to shoot towards you, Eric, is let's say it is Boston and Milwaukee in the second round. As a Celtic fan, what are you thinking coming into that series? Is it going to be tough and going to be a Celtic win? Or are the Bucks in your mind, because they're the number 1 seed, the favorite to win that series against the Celtics?
If you look at any analytics, I mean, the Bucks had one of the best statistical seasons ever. I mean, I kind of equate it, in the late 80s when we would be going up against Jordan. Like, I don't know how you stop Giannis. You know what I mean? And so if we can push it to 7, I think we got a shot. But I kind of have a feeling we're going to be out in about 6. Bucks and 6.
And that's the thing I'm kind of thinking about is Giannis in every game against the Celtics this year averaged 30 points per game. So it's like Giannis is going to get his. You're not going to stop him. The Marcus Smart injury might come to bite you guys in that series because, I mean, he's a really good defender. To me, the most important thing, and this is actually going to be beneficial to Boston if he's not able to come back on time, Malcolm Brogdon. If Brogdon plays from day one, I side with the Bucks. If he doesn't and misses some games and the Celtics could steal one, then maybe I lean Boston's way to upset Milwaukee.
Well, one thing I want to ask you then, Eric, is if you're saying Bucks and 6, I want to kind of wonder. I wonder like where your confidence level is, I guess, because we talked about Boston's success so far throughout the postseasons, starting with the Red Sox. It was easier to have, I'm guessing, confidence in them because they had 108 wins. Were the top winner, most wins in the MLB last year. And then you look at the Patriots, just the constant success for them. What's the reason you don't really have the confidence in the Celtics? Is it just the lack of consistency? Is it the lack of talent? You think? Is it the lack of cohesion? We all sometimes play some bets or play some DraftKings, right? And if I had some wagering money, I would have put a bunch of money on the Bucks to win the championship. I mean, statistically, they've been so good this year. It's actually my confidence in the Bucks more than my lack of confidence in the Celtics. I think that, to me, they're far favorite, even over Golden State and Houston. Like, if I had to put my money down, a month ago, even, and then still today, it would be on the Bucks to win the championship. More confidence in them than lack in my Celtics.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's fair. I think they blew out so many teams throughout the year. They've just got the track record this season. Like you said, you can only hope to contain Giannis. You can't really stop that man. I do think that having, the early success in the series against the Pacers means a whole lot more for a team like the Celtics than the Bucks doing what they're doing to the Detroit Pistons, which is hilarious. But the Celtics, like watching Kyrie hit that next level in Game 3 where he put up, 37 points. Like he had that confidence. He wanted the ball in his hands. He was going to the hole. That's exactly what you want. You want Kyrie in that state of mind because my fear for the Celtics team is if they go out the gates and stumble against the Bucks, what that first loss will do to that team, that's what will set the precedent for the rest of the series. If they can, come together as a team like we haven't seen a ton this season, they could absolutely get a roll back and try to take out the Bucks. But if they react with infighting, if Kyrie goes off, if he says something that starts up shit, like that's the flaming dumpster that is the Celtics season right there at that point. It's just it's on the edge,
If the Celtics, they have the talent. If they go in and steal one and then they end up getting past the Bucks, that's why I, jumped up and down and agreed with Ricky when I said, if they get through the Bucks, they're going to easily get by the Sixers on the way to the finals.
Yeah, you guys have the Sixers numbers for years.
Yeah.
No, and do you think the Raptors are a different matchup, though?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with Siakam, that development came out of nowhere. That's crazy.
For sure.
One question that's circling through my mind, and it's kind of like hearing Dave talk about Kyrie, and this is kind of succeeding this year, of like moving on past this year. Kyrie either this year or let's say he stays in Boston and he's here for multiple years. Do you think the Celtics can be a finals champion with Kyrie on that team? Or are you almost like, you know what, if we don't win it this year, I'm not upset if Kyrie walks because I'm not sure if we're going to win with Kyrie because of that infighting that might happen with a personality like Kyrie Irving?
I think it all depends on what we do with that draft capital, right? I mean, we have, depending on that Memphis pick, I mean, we can end up with 4 first-round picks. I mean, we have 3 100% now. And so if we can flip those for Anthony Davis, if we can flip those for, another tier 1 level, then yeah. If not, then I would kind of look to go down that road that you said with Kyrie and flip him for something, or kind of move on from him and let him go to New York. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't think he has that killer mentality.
Oh,
right?
okay. You think Jason Tatum's the guy then to put the weight on his shoulders moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, that's why, like, I almost even tried to make that argument that, and I heard you guys are going to do it, that, Ja Morant should be picked over Zion. I mean, Ja has that killer mentality. You know what I mean? Does Zion love playing basketball? Yeah, but does he have that kind of killerness?
Yeah.
You know?
No, I mean, especially from his position. So it's hard to take over games when the ball's not always in your hands like it would be for a Ja Morant.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to get in, though, one draft pick that I am way higher on than most people is Tyler Hero. I would pick him 5th or 6th. I think he's going to be really, really good.
Really, I mean, it's interesting
the third
because
segment where we bring up Tyler Hero.
Yeah, it is.
Boys getting love.
We had John on a little bit earlier. He's going to be on later, at least podcast wise. But he actually had the Celtics taking Hero with that 14th pick.
I love that.
So he has you guys. What do you like about him? At least that you have him going 6. So if you're saying that Memphis pick translates, let's say it becomes the 9th pick, you'd be fine with them taking Tyler Hero there?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the reason is, you ever watch like some of his high school highlights where he was getting taunted that he was overrated, and like his reaction to it?
Yeah.
It meant that if you guys have seen those videos, you know what I mean. It's he's got that same kind of killerness to him. I would take him probably 5th, 6th, maybe 5th in the draft.
Yeah, no, there's something about that attitude to just it's not quite as bad as the Reggie Miller choke thing right back at Spike Lee, but it kind of gives you that same like warm feeling. It's like, he just told you off a little bit, gave you that few.
I will say it's probably a little bit easier to do that in high school than it is like, college or then the NBA. But hey, I mean, one thing again that we said, I mean, Brad Stevens puts his guys into good positions to succeed, and Tyler Hero has shown that he does have that skill to be a guy that can put up points, and I think one thing that would really help him is the fact that he has a guy in Jason Tatum who can handle the ball and can dish the ball around as a forward. Al Horford's a great big man when it comes to passing, and I think a big thing is just getting him a little bit of space. And if you can already give him space, he can create enough space to be dangerous. So I think him on the Celtics is definitely a very interesting fit. And I think that's one thing that's kind of holding them back too, is because yes, they have Kyrie, yes, they have Jason Tatum, but I don't really feel like they have that guy that they can go to outside of Kyrie and Tatum, to hit a big shot. And I don't think that really kind of exists for them, because if you are going up against a team, let's say like the Milwaukee Bucks, where they have Eric Bledsoe who can go up against Kyrie and take him out, you have a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo who can go up against Jason Tatum and take him out. Who's going to be that next guy that steps up for Boston? That's the biggest question I have for them. Is yes, they have a lot of depth where they can provide a lot of different looks lineup wise, but who are going to be the guys that can rise up and score for them? And I think that was interesting that you also brought up Siakam as well for the Raptors, because you have Kawhi who can shut down.
Their entire team can shut down is the problem.
Jason
the Raptors
Tatum
are just like, I heard you like your defense with some more defense on top of defense, then some additional defense with a side of defense.
My thing is, like, you need another guard, and I don't know if they have that other guard unless it's Terry Rozier, but Terry Rozier might not even be on the team next year.
Yeah.
So that's things where you look at the Celtics, and there are different flaws to this team that do stand out. But I think when we're going back to the Celtics and about the trust that we can put into them, I think that they're probably the team I could probably trust the second most, just because they have been to the Eastern Conference Finals, and this is to win the East. They have been to the Eastern Conference Finals twice now. I put them behind the Bucks, and you look at the Raptors. I don't really trust them just because of what Kyle Lowry does and doesn't do, and that's just he's not consistent at all when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And you need your second best player to step up, and I think Tatum has been stepping up for the Celtics. I think Irving has stepped up for him, and even though he might be going to New York, he has been putting a lot into it. And I know you're saying that you're not a huge fan of him taking over games, but I've seen it before, and he has risen to the occasion. And you got to look back at the Game 7 against Golden State 2 years ago, whatever it was, when they won the finals.
Taking
3 years
big
ago.
shots.
Yeah, took a big shot, hit the game winner for them. So I
think you could take over games. Him as your number one winning championships. It's kind of
that is a different question. Yeah, yeah.
I think it's there because I think he's your number one, but it's a different number one because you still have so many guys around there that can be good, solid 2s and 3s. I think Tatum's a solid 2. I think Horford's a solid 3. I think Gordon Hayward, when he's fully healthy, he's a solid 3 as well. So the fact that they have so many guys that can be a part of like those nucleuses. I'm not saying Hayward's there yet, but like when Hayward's fully healthy and scoring,
no, that's
he's
what I'm saying.
A great 3. So
are you putting him you're putting Tatum and his production and Horford and his production above where you think Gordon Hayward would be?
I would
That's
say
my question.
Horford and Hayward on the same level.
Okay.
When they're both fully healthy, because Hayward hasn't been healthy and hasn't been consistent. Neither is Horford this year. Horford's kind of taking a step back, but when he's fully on, he's a great 3, and when Hayward's on, he's a great 3. And I think that's one thing that these teams don't have is that the Bucks have Bledsoe, they have Giannis, they have Middleton. That's their big 3, and there's no one really coming in and out of that. The Raptors, they have Lowry, they have Siakam, they have Kawhi. That's their big 3, and no one's really coming in and out of that. You look at the 76ers, they kind of have that ability like the Celtics do where they have Simmons, they have Embiid, they have Butler, but Tobias Harris has risen up to the occasion before. JJ Redick has risen up to the occasion before. I think the Celtics, you look at them, they have the ability to add those guys. And Jaylen Brown, I think defensively can even add that to be a big 3 as well. I think that he provides so much defensively that it can show. He hasn't shown that a ton this year, but I think that's one thing the Celtics do have, and I think that's the reason why I put them second when it comes to trusting it. It's just the fact that they have to play the Bucks in the second round.
Yeah.
That's tough. If they're going up against the 76ers in the third round, in the second round, and then going up against the Bucks in the third round, that would give me a lot more confidence in going up against them, because you just have to win 4. You just have to win 4 games. You don't have to go up and then look to another round or another 2 rounds after that to get to the finals. So I think the Celtics are a team that they need some help, at least when it comes to scoring, but they do have so much talent there that they can really fill out and give teams problems. And again, that's just a credit to their depth and the way that Brad Stevens uses them.
Yeah, I think it's always been a fact of they just suck at rebounding, and like, not to attack Al Horford, but like he's not the best rebounder, and I like the extremely short minutes they've given to their biggest talent. Daniel obviously has been their bruiser this year, but like I wonder if that's what's going to kill them against the Bucks. Like that's a team where Giannis is so aggressive in the paint. Eric Bledsoe absolutely goes for offensive rebounds aggressively. They have such a tenacious attacking team that I think that's probably what's going to do them in.
Yeah, with me, it's just I'm looking at the Boston Celtics, and it's just, do they have the heart of the champion in them? Yes. It's just, will they get there? Mm-hmm. And that's the big question. Can they get over Mount Giannis is my biggest thing.
Well, let's throw the final question out there. Mm-hmm. Can they? So what are your thoughts right now? Not even first round finish, but what do you think if they're going up against the Bucks? What would that look like, Ricky?
I think it depends on Malcolm Brogdon and how he looks coming back. If he comes back and he's 100% healthy, I'm going to agree with what Eric said earlier, Bucks and 6.
Got that 50, 40, 90 kids.
If he's 50-50, then I see it going to 7, and the Celtics might be able to squeak it out, but I'd still lean with the Bucks. If Malcolm Brogdon is not even near 50% coming back, I'm going to go Celtics in 6 or 7. Wow. Malcolm Brogdon is the key for me whether or not the Bucks win, because Giannis is going to get his. Eric Bledsoe's going to do good. I mean, one of the games like Thon Maker and Tony Snell were getting
Thon
points.
Maker isn't even on the team anymore.
And that's what I'm saying. He's not there. Malcolm Brogdon was a consistent piece of he did well in every single game against Boston. Now, Marcus Smart not being there, that might play into it, but Malcolm Brogdon's the key. If he's healthy, Bucks in 6.
I'm probably going with the Bucks in 6 as well, looking forward. It's just Chris Middleton had such a massive series against them in a losing effort last year. I think that he's going to have the same keys to success again this year, so I think just as a team, they're just incredibly well-rounded. And, yeah, Giannis, what you going to do?
I'm going to go and say the Celtics in 7 because I think the Bucks haven't gotten enough. Test. I mean, like, you look at it, they're going up against the Pistons. It hasn't been close. 121, 86, 120, 99.
Hey, the Pistons led at halftime a game, too.
That did happen before they...
And then they blew them out by 21. So I think the fact that they're not going up against tough competition will honestly hurt them. And, yes, they're going to get healthier. They're going to add Brogdon. But I'll take the Celtics in 7. Just because I think while they are going to sweep the Pacers, or at least close to sweeping the Pacers, they have been close games. They have been hard-fought games. And
if they collapse the Pacers series, though, if they go from 3-0 to losing 4-3...
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
On me, Ricky Bobby.
Teams never blown a 3-0 lead in the NBA playoffs. But I think the thing with that, though, is just I think the Celtics can not shut down Giannis, but shut down everybody else. And I think that's the biggest thing for them. And they could probably even slow down Giannis just a little bit. If not, though, I don't think it's going to be a huge killer because I think they can slow down everybody else on that team. And that's going to be so huge for them because they can score in different ways. I just don't know if they have that go-to score at the end when teams are really focusing in and closing in on them. But in the first half, I think this team could really put up points with the multiple looks they can throw out there. Eric, I will go to you, though, and ask, you have Bucks in 6. What ways can the Celtics beat the Bucks?
I mean, I think if Gordon steals the game, I think that's how I could see them not even squeaking. I think they could flip it to winning it, in, like you said, in 7 or 6, and it not being that tight. I think that paying $30 million to someone that was shooting 30% or 35% was killing us earlier in the year. I think Dave hit it right on the head. I mean, once he started shooting 45%, then that's 2 or 3 points a game. My concern about the Bucks is their points per game differential was almost double what ours was. I think it was around like 8.9 or something like that. Everybody else was in the 4 to 5 range if they were good. But I think if Gordon steals a game, then we can win it in 7.
Yes, I think that is something big that the Bucks do have this crazy point differential throughout the regular season, but I think it's just something, now it's the playoffs and everything. I think you can kind of throw out everything from the regular season. It kind of gives you a baseline, but I mean, things change when you hit that regular season, and I think you can see that from the Patriots. Going in, it wasn't going to be a team that people were going to pick to win the Super Bowl. Like Tom Brady's too old. This defense isn't good enough. I don't care, Ricky. And everybody doubts him. And then here we come. Yeah. Here the Patriots come. Here comes Tom Brady. And great coaching and great talent rises to the top. So
the cream always rises to the top.
We had to get our Tom Brady in. So.
We had to. Come on. You get your 6. You got to get it. I should have worn my Brady shirt. But it was fun talking to you, Eric, and we'll have you on soon as well because we got to get your band topic in as well with Ricky and Mark. We're really excited to hear that. So if you do want to listen to that topic, that's mostly going to be the May MVP podcast where Ricky, Mark, and Eric talk about the greatest bands of all time. Eric, you want to give us a little bit of a sneak peek at all? You want to give us maybe throw out a band you're thinking about?
I mean, to me, it would be a tie, right? It's either going to be the Grateful Dead or Bob Dylan. I mean, to me, there were 2 prophets.
I love it.
I think I just watched something about Bob Dylan where people were making fun of him. Did you see the thing about him with cell phones? And he was like, we can either pose or we can either play.
No.
Yeah, he was being an old man, being mad at people taking out their cell phones and taking a picture of Bob Dylan. I mean, you're seeing Bob Dylan, so I mean, you gotta like at least take a picture and be like, hey, wow, I'm seeing Bob Dylan. This is awesome. But Dylan's definitely up there for me. I don't know about the Grateful Dead. I never got into the Deadhead stuff, but I'm definitely interested to hear the conversation that you and Ricky and Mark will have, and we're appreciate that you're finally able to get on the podcast, and we'll be able to talk to you next month.
Have a great one.
You too.